Wilson is acting out because Caitlin Clark could relocate to Europe. Asia believes she is the biggest attraction and should take control of the situation to ensure Caitlin remains in the WNBA. Asia's disparaging remarks about Caitlin's privilege were a significant turn of events. She is at last beginning to recognize the impact Caitlin has had on the WNBA. Asia thinks she's the star, despite the ridiculous entitlement. She ought to be the focus of attention since Caitlin was the one who made the biggest impact on the league.
Entitled players in the WNBA just can't seem to understand is, you get what you put in, and right now, you are getting exactly what you deserve.
Let's be honest, Asia Wilson was unappreciated prior to Caitlin Clark. Although Asia seems like a kind person, she has recently revealed that, like other WNBA players, she can be extremely envious. She will leave the WNBA in pieces to make the transfer, and no one will be discussing Asia as they did in previous years. Despite knowing deep down that she's not a big draw, Asia tries to convince the media of this because she was named MVP. You're not fooling anyone, Asia.
Don't y'all want a greater profile? Don't y'all want more notoriety? Don't y'all want more hype?
Such a move to the EuroLeague might have set an example for upcoming generations of players by encouraging other WNBA stars to consider overseas options. But when Asia Wilson intervened to thwart Clark's objectives, this promising agreement took an unexpected turn.
Now, Asia Wilson was a more dominating player and deserved to be the MVP, and unanimous.
Wilson's meddling in the transaction wasn't merely a small annoyance. It was an intentional attempt to prevent Clark from taking advantage of the situation. According to reports, Wilson thought she should represent the EuroLeague rather than Clark after winning the WNBA MVP award. This was more than just a matter of taste or basketball. It revealed a more serious problem of rivalry and competition between two of the best players in the league. Her WNBA standing and PP title ought to have made her the most desirable applicant for European teams. Despite Wilson's achievements, the notion that Clark being selected over her probably felt like a personal slight. Asia's efforts appear to be motivated by the idea that she should be given preference for foreign possibilities because she has already established herself as a dominant force in the WNBA. She believes that Clark, who is still relatively new to the game, has not yet earned the right to overshadow more seasoned players. However, some people continue to think that Caitlin hasn't been targeted this year.
Caitlin is fantastic, and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA. There are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
Wilson and Clark have previously been in direct rivalry for high-profile agreements. Wilson allegedly attempted to sabotage Clark's Nike sponsorship in the past in an effort to get the contract for herself. The increasing animosity between the two players was hinted at by the Nike incident. However, the European dispute has elevated the situation. Wilson has demonstrated how cutthroat and intimate this opposition has grown by intervening to prevent Clark's worldwide opportunity.
How do you miss an opportunity like that? How do you not capitalize? It doesn't make any sense at all. And playing the politics where, oh, we need to release Asia's shoe first. Well, no, it's not Caitlin's fault that you haven't done anything for Asia yet.
She probably anticipated receiving more attention from supporters, sponsors, and foreign teams after being named MVP. It seemed like a blow to Wilson's accomplishments that Clark, a relatively new player, was suddenly at the focus of discussions over the EuroLeague. However, Wilson feels that Clark's quick ascent has unfairly changed the story. Fans and media outlets have concentrated on Clark rather than acknowledging Wilson's accomplishments and treating her as the WNBA's most valuable player. Wilson feels that she must defend her standing and stop Clark from seizing opportunities that she feels should be hers, which has led to a sense of competition that extends beyond the basketball court.
Caitlin Clark's the most valuable, most important person in the WNBA this year, and should have been unanimous Rookie of the Year.
Wilson's attempt to obstruct Clark's pact with Europe is not unique. It displays a behavioral pattern that has developed over time. This rivalry has its roots in a previous dispute over a possible endorsement contract with Nike. Wilson allegedly attempted to thwart Clark's attempts to close the contract in order to establish herself as Nike's principal WNBA agent. Athletes frequently compete for lucrative endorsements, but the way this rivalry has developed implies that Wilson views Clark as a direct danger to her career. An early indication of the rising hostility between the two players was the Nike incident. Securing a contract with Nike would have been a significant achievement for Clark, solidifying her place among the biggest names in basketball. However, Wilson, who was already well known, wasn't prepared to share the limelight. Wilson showed that she was prepared to go to considerable measures to save her job by trying to thwart Clark's Nike deal. Clark's quick ascent was more than a challenge to her status. It served as a reminder that the WNBA was evolving. Wilson has opted to compete with Clark for opportunities rather than accept this transition, creating a contrast that has grown more intimate. Wilson's reasons for opposing Clark's Europe pact went beyond self-interest. Making a statement was the goal. She wished to remind everyone that she is still a formidable opponent and that she should be regarded as the best player in the league. Personal envy is the deeper problem at the center of this controversy. Wilson's behavior implies that her animosity with Clark extends beyond their professional conflict. It goes beyond basketball and economic transactions. It's about the fight for acceptance and significance in a league that is changing quickly. The dynamics of the WNBA have been upset by Clark's entrance. Additionally, Wilson, who used to be at the top, is now vying for attention in unexpected ways. Wilson was already one of the WNBA's top players before Clark joined the league, garnering recognition and endorsements in the process. But the story has changed with Clark's arrival. All of a sudden, Clark is the one getting fan support, sponsorship opportunities, and media attention. Wilson finds it challenging to celebrate her accomplishment without feeling overshadowed by Clark's ascent as a result of this change. Wilson's behavior off the court and the way she speaks about Clark both exhibit this envy. Wilson has made remarks that imply Clark had a simpler route to success, portraying her ascent as the product of privilege rather than diligence. Wilson feels she has earned her position at the top, but her remarks show how frustrated she is with the way the limelight has moved away from her. The dramatic drop in viewership when Caitlin Clark isn't playing is one of the most obvious indications of her impact on the WNBA. Audiences that might not have previously followed women's basketball are drawn to Clark because she has become a fan magnet. However, the statistics show a concerning picture when she isn't playing. Engagement declines and fans tune out. This pattern highlights a hard reality. Even though elite players like A.A. Wilson are still playing, Clark is more than just a gifted athlete. She is now essential to the league's increasing appeal.
A'ja Wilson, 28 years old, 1,000 points in the regular season. Why is that not the biggest story out at the moment?
Exactly.
Why are we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Why when A'ja was releasing the shoe, were we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Wilson and other elite players have kept up their excellent skills, but there is still little enthusiasm among fans. This disparity draws attention to a difficult reality for Wilson. To command attention, talent alone is insufficient. Wilson has had difficulty winning over fans despite her accomplishments, but Clark's distinct charm and playing style have. Although there have always been good players in the league, Clark's emergence provided something new and exciting, energizing both new and old fans. It appears that many fans become disinterested with Clark. As the league develops, it becomes evident that talent alone is insufficient to grow the game. Players must connect with fans, create memorable moments, and generate excitement qualities that Clark possesses in abundance, even when other stars like Wilson are playing at the top of their game. Wilson has found it difficult to understand that Clark is the main source of fan attention, which has fueled their rivalry.
Who was unanimous MVP, which, by the way, is the first unanimous MVP in the NBA or the WNBA to ever not make the finals, which is something else. Fans are they're gonna share that. It does not mean that we are misogynistic or we're just hating on A'ja. No, it's just this is what happens when a team loses.
The league's current dynamics have been upset by the abrupt shift in attention around Clark, making some players feel ignored and undervalued. These athletes, who see Clark's accomplishments as a threat rather than a victory for women's basketball as a whole, have voiced their dissatisfaction rather than applauding her success. Both on and off the court, this animosity has been apparent. Due to opponents' aggressive targeting of her, Clark has emerged as the WNBA's most fouled player. Her playing style is partly to blame for this, but it also illustrates the escalating conflict in the league. Players who are dissatisfied with Clark's success are committed to opposing her supremacy, even if it means using rough play.